Hello, everyone. It's me, Josh, and this is the Skype for Business recap. Last week was the first week since launching this show back in like the October-ish time frame, somewhere in there. It was the first entire week that I did not do a Skype for Business recap, and I felt awful. I was like, this is just not right, and I can never let this happen again. I've done pretty good with keeping up through vacation times and all that, traveling in the past, but this last week we were doing a big family cross-country move from North Carolina to Texas, Central Texas, Austin-ish area, and it has been blazing since getting here. Nearly 105 every day. And I think we're finally catching a bit of a break. It'll be in the 90s, maybe even 80s in the next coming days here. So thankful for that. But we are glad to be here, safe and sound. It was a long, grueling, painful move, but it is now over. If you saw any of my tweets during that time about my dissatisfaction with the moving company that we were working with for our moving truck, they have since corrected the issue to my satisfaction, and I have, in accordance, removed my tweets that may or may not have reflected their moving truck being towed on the second day of our trip. So, at any rate, that whole big snafu that added hours and hours and hours, an extra 10 hours total to our trip, that whole thing was resolved, I'm happy to say. Hopefully we won't be dealing with that, or a move, for that matter, anytime in the near future. So, that was that for the moving trip. So we've made it. There's been a lot that I missed during that time frame. I've been keeping up with work in that time frame. One of the things I've been working on actually is my first Cloud Connector Edition deployment. And while I know there's mixed feelings about Cloud Connector Edition, I am loving learning about it. I'm loving deploying it. It's been really cool. Got to make a couple cool Visios in relation to it and how it fits into the environment that it's going into and how the traffic flows. So, I'm enjoying the CCE stuff, and I think there might be more of that around the corner, actually. So it fits right in line with me being really into hybrid, right? So, all right. Good stuff. This show might be slightly longer today since I, have missed a week. I have to make up for things. So if you get bored and want to fast forward, I understand. But that's we're just going to try to make up for a little bit of lost time here. Also, if you look in the background of both sides of me, you'll notice this is not my normal office. We moved, and my office is pretty much all packed up in storage. So this is a family's house that we're staying for a little bit here, and that's what the backdrop is. I think it works well, good background here for the show. It may change from week to week as I figure out where the best place is for me to do this and where I have connectivity and availability, etc. during Friday's episode. So for now, here is where we are at. I would turn the camera actually and show you the beautiful lake outside, but I haven't figured out the glare thing, and every time I face the camera at the window, there's just tons of light in the background and you can't see anything, so I'm not going to bother with that. All right, it's great to be back, and it is time to jump into some content. So let me jump over to our Infinity screen and pull up. Here we go. All right. First thing I wanted to talk about this week was the Blynclight. This isn't something monumental in terms of Skype for Business functionality, but if you're not familiar with Embrava's Blynclight, it is a nifty little cubicle-looking device that was pluggable by USB into your laptop, and it worked with your Skype for Business or Link or other, I think Jabber and a couple other things. It worked with the clients to display presence. So if you were in a meeting and your presence went to red, the Blynclight would actually turn red. And eventually it began to be able to make little sounds as well. There was a mini speaker built in to where it made a sound when you were joining a meeting or whatever. So it kind of was a little reminder to you as well if you weren't already reminded by your client. Handy little device. I've got one myself and have tinkered with it. But the downfall is that I always thought it would be great to take that Blynclight and mount it on the outside of my office so that as my family approached the office, they would see that I was either, if it was red and I was in a meeting and they shouldn't bother me right then, or, if I was green and available and, hey, go ahead and knock on the door and let me know what's up. It's great for people that work at home or people in the office if they get frequent walk-ups to their desk. But the USB cord was actually pretty small. I guess you could have gotten an extension, but if you had it directly plugged into your laptop, then you really couldn't reach too far off your desk. Maybe the top of a cubicle was as good as it got, but that really was pretty limiting. That has been solved this week with Blynclight Wireless. Isn't it amazing? It is amazing, actually. The description here tells you some of the cool things about it. It rings on incoming calls. Obviously, the same thing that before it would sync your status with Skype for Business, Link, Cisco Jabber, there you go, and Skype. Beeps on incoming messages. 2.5 gigahertz wireless connection with a USB dongle right there. But then you can go and mount this deal to like the outside of your office or something. It gives you up to, 30 feet, I want to say? Something like 30 feet. See, this guy looks very serious and very satisfied with the lack of wires going from his computer over to his Blynclight. For that matter, I'm not sure why he doesn't have a wireless headset. Maybe they were trying to demonstrate how superior their product was with no wires. But at any rate, very cool Blynclight development. If you don't have one of these devices, it could be yours for a cool $89.95, probably plus shipping. Says it's in stock right now, ships within 24 hours. I think it's great, and I think it's going to be even greater now that it's wireless. So be sure to check that out, all right? Next up, our friend the Hoff, actually Ken Lasko, but this is his profile picture everywhere. He is an Office Servers and Services MVP. And he put a new blog post out this week that I thought perfectly captured everything about Ken. If you have had a chance of reading his tweets or talking to him and just had a chance to chill on a conversation before, very cool guy, very sarcastic guy. So he and I think, get along pretty well on that front. I tend to be only a wee bit sarcastic. But yeah, so this blog post was great. Not only was it full of great information about tips and tricks for North American calling and authorizing calls to different places within the NANP, yes, North American Numbering Plan, but it also had plenty of humor baked into it. One of the first things I noticed about this that I thought was great is that he found different Hoff pictures to incorporate throughout his post and put very informational little captions on them. So nicely done there with that, Ken. The other thing that really caught my eye and that I loved and was just very, very Ken-like here. This right here. It gets even better. NANP area codes are allocated by a trio of over-caffeinated spider monkeys who press numbers on a giant keypad at random to assign a new area code. Well, that's how it appears. I love it. That's a great sentence right there. As he points out, there's no logical separation between area codes between any of the countries. For example, 646 is New York, 647 is Ontario, and 649 is the Turks and Caicos, so Caribbean island nation. Point well taken with the spider monkeys, the over-caffeinated spider monkeys. But great information on this post. Another Hoff picture here. And then I got down here and began to realize, wow, he is not actually Ken Lasko masquerading as the Hoff. He is actually Neo from The Matrix masquerading as the Hoff. I realized he knows how to read and decipher The Matrix here. That's what this looks like to me, honestly. This is just amazing. Dialing plans are something I still need to get a lot more comfortable with, and looking at this combination of different normalization rules and patterns here, he has made it, he has pointed out, look, we can block Canadian and Caribbean calls with this huge chunk, we can block American and Caribbean calls with this, but he was humble enough to point out that he did not hand roll all of these different combinations. He used his handy dandy link optimizer, which is a amazing tool that he has put together for all of us to make our lives easier when setting up normalization rules and regular expressions for our dialing plans. So, Ken, great job on this post. Thanks for keeping the sarcasm rich throughout. We love it. And guys, if you have a chance, this is a really good one to read when it comes to different authorization tricks and rules for North American numbers, which encompass a great deal of countries under the +1. So, yeah. Moving on, the UC Architects Podcast, episode 58, called Hold the MS Press. And unfortunately, that is alluding to the sad news that there was a great number of Microsoft Press folks who were actually let go. Sounds like Microsoft Press is making a sad and unfortunate change there. So that was just one, though, of the very many topics they covered this week. The published date is July 24th, but you can see the blog post was put together and released on August 4th, 2016. We have topics under each. We have various topics under the different categories: Exchange, Office 365 as usual. And of course, Link and Skype for Business takes the cake with the largest number of topics. We've even got a few events that are coming up here. They point out Ignite, UC Day, UC Birmingham User Group, and Unity Connect coming up in November. Pat Richard was the host for this one, and then we had Steve Goodman as a co-host, and John Cook and Tom Arbuthnot as co-hosts. So very good. Andrew Price, as usual, was the editor here. And very, very cool, they gave a shout-out to me on my Skype for Business hybrid handbook right down here, version 2.0. Thanks for chatting about the hybrid handbook, guys. I appreciated the call-out. And as they pointed out, yes, I will be at Ignite. I hope to run into these guys as well as many other of you that may be there in next month, actually, September. It's coming up. Wow. And they even wondered if I would be present with the cowboy hat. So that's yet to be decided. I've had recommendations that I should, and I don't know. I will definitely be easy to find if I did that, I'm sure, but the jury's still out on whether or not I'll actually do that. So, yeah, I might keep it a little more mainstream. We'll see. So, anyway, great podcast. Thanks for putting that out there, guys, and all the effort that goes into this as usual. Really, really appreciate it. I will put the link out there, and as you guys have time, just scroll right on down to the bottom here and listen to the podcast. Good stuff. All right, next up, Microsoft Authenticator. Wow, let's see here. The page apparently is having some CSS issues here. There we go. This was pointed out by Tom Morgan, an Office Servers and Services MVP with Modality Systems. He pointed this out on Twitter. Thought this was a great development here, as he said everybody should be using two-factor authentication. Very good point in security. This is being released on August 15th, and it combines the Azure AD and Microsoft Personal Authentication apps into one. Very cool development. Some of the key new benefits that we're going to see here: user experience refresh. So you've got your generic, we made this look better thing here. Best-in-breed multi-factor authentication experience through one-click push notifications. Very cool. Support for wearables, meaning you could use the Apple Watch or Samsung Gear device to approve MFA challenges. So that's pretty slick and pretty modern there, Microsoft. Very cool. Fingerprints instead of passcodes. Fingerprints are becoming much more mainstream on mobile devices, etc., so that only makes sense. And then certificate-based authentication. So really cool announcement, very, very neat thing coming in there, and I dare say this will, affect Skype for Business at some point, if not already here. So, Skype for Business Online, etc. But very cool. Thanks for sharing that with us, Tom. This is very good news, and we'll all need to keep an eye out. That is 3 days away. So coming right up. If you don't want to go to the trouble of using the Microsoft Authenticator and dealing with all that security, here is another option that I'm actually a big fan of. I was thinking of putting signs like this up on my computers and any networks I work on. I figure it'll help keep the bad guys at bay. If I read a sign that says danger and then it says ninjas and pirates and lasers and shit, then I'm not going to want any of those things coming at me. Pardon the language there, but I'm just reading the sign after all. And as I pointed out, I would not want any of those 4 things coming my way. So let's keep this in mind in case the Microsoft Authenticator proves to be a little bit too much work for us. All right, this is a good way to go. I'm just saying. So, all right, moving on. Last but not least, here we had Jason Wynn, who is the Oh Say Can You See blog author, and he put out a new post here on the. Actually, this is from quite a while ago now that I look at it. Back in March, but it was reshared and retweeted. This is my first time to see it this last week when I saw it being tweeted. So, number porting with Office 365 and Cloud PBX. Now, this may be a little bit of older news to those of you who have gone in and done some of that already, but for those of us still exploring the possibility of bringing numbers and migrating our enterprise voice into the cloud, this is a very pertinent piece of information. There's various ways we can get those numbers there. We can either get new numbers or we can port them. And when it comes to porting, there are a number of things to know and plan for. There are requests that have to be fashioned in a certain way. There are different types of porting. You've got your standard porting of less than 100 telephone numbers. You've got project porting of over 100 telephone numbers, and then a complex porting, a single order with over 999 telephone numbers. And then there's a whole slew of things that are pertinent pieces of information underneath each of those categories. He does a great job of explaining each of these, putting screenshots in, walking through everything you might need to know about number porting. Great job on this. If you are considering a move to Skype for Business Online using enterprise voice and you have phone numbers already that you want to bring with you, I would take a look at Jason's blog post here. This is really good stuff and will be very helpful to many of us. So, all right, let me go back over to our main. There we go. Well, that's it, guys. Again, huge apologies for not having a show last week. I was told, even today, actually, that there was withdrawals from the show, and my heart broke upon hearing that. I'm very sorry. We will try to never, ever do that again. So, yeah, so that's it. It is a sunny day. I'm looking forward to a beautiful weekend ahead. I hope. The forecast actually says it's going to be thunderstorms, but hey, it brings cooler weather, so you can't complain, right? Everybody that's planning on having a really good time this weekend, be safe. Make sure you have a DD if necessary, and have a productive week next week. All right, keep up the good work, and we'll see you all back here next Friday for another Skype for Business recap. Adios.